a visual artist, a dancer, and a spoken word poet.
What are your main creative outlets currently?
Currently, my main creative outlet is dance, danza azteca, and visual arts.
How long have you been doing that dance for?
Only about 2 months. It's been a pretty short period of time.
And how long have you been making the visual art?
For as long as I can remember. Since I had the motor skills to pick up a crayon. My mom would leave me homework when she would go to work, and she's like, read this Bible story, and when I come back I want you to give me a summary of what it was about and the greater meaning behind it. And I would draw her these pictures and summarize, because the Bible is really dramatic, it's really intense, so drawing out those images was super cool to me, because I was like, okay, in this one Bible story, there's this king who's holding a baby upside down, and he's about to cut the baby with a knife. And I was like, that's a really intense scene. I was like, I should draw that for my mom. She could really know, that I'm really into this. I would say overall, my creative process is pretty spontaneous. When I get an idea, it's usually after something clicks in my head about a value that I have, and then a perspective that I have about life, and then I attach it to everything that's important to me, and I think about what emotion do I want this person to have when they're viewing my art. Do I want them to be happy? Do I want them to be sad, introspective? And so I take that into account. I listen to lots and lots of music when I'm creating, because I feel like it kind of infuses it with the vibrations that I want, because I like to be really intentional when I create, and I typically want the viewer to be reflective about themselves, but also the world around them, and think about how they can just elevate their persona and evolve. So yeah, I put a lot of energetic, work into my art, which I think distinguishes me from a lot of different artists, because I try to be really intentional about what I put out there, and I'm mindful about the impact that it has, especially the subconscious impact. And by the end of it, I think that my pieces come out really colorful and sometimes really messy and intricate, because I feel like that gives balance to the chaos around us. If we have more chaos in our mind than it matches the chaos outside, then maybe it'll cancel out.
So what are the main messages that you've always wanted to convey for everything that you do?
Initially, when I first started getting serious about my art projects, I think that it was exploring myself and my identity and where I stand with the world around me. And now I think my art has evolved with empowering others to feel comfortable to do the same about themselves, to look within and think about how they can be successful, not in the material things in the world, but internally and spiritually and emotionally, because I feel like that often gets overlooked, especially in the technological world that we live in. Everybody's worried about how can we get a faster phone with better quality pictures, AI this, and all this stuff, and I'm just like, well, hold on a second. Are we thinking about how we're evolving with the technology, or is the technology just evolving? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, people still don't have the emotional intelligence to understand when to not say a bad joke. So maybe that comes off a certain way, but it's true. I want people to evolve in a wise way. Ultimately, that's what my messages are.
Does being based in Chicago have a major impact on your overall work or creativity?
100%, yes. Yes, because yes, everything. One of my favorite parts about Chicago is riding CTA, but especially the train, especially the orange line. I think it's the best line. If you know, you know. But on the orange line, there's so much graffiti that you see when you're on the train. And for me, every day that I would go to school and come back to school, looking at the graffiti on the train on my way home was my meditation. Like in the morning and in the evening, it brought me so much peace because I think that graffiti is the first public art museum that's been available to the people. And I don't think people talk about that. Like, people like graffiti now because it's cool and it's like edgy and this stuff, but it's just like, no, those are real people that have real struggles and real lives, and they express themselves through their art, because the only way they're gonna be known is through their tag name or like being ups, you know? That's their legacy. And I like paying homage to that in my art. It takes on very much of a street art style, I think, sometimes. And I love that about my city. We have the best graffiti, and hands down, like, that's just me.
Do you also care for collaborations with other creatives, or do you like doing more solo work?
I love collaborations with other creatives because I get to meet people like you. I get to meet so many people that just do all this stuff that I didn't even know existed or was possible in the way that they transform their art. And I get to see who they are as people. So I love collaborating. I'm open to collaborating. Hit me up. I acknowledge the influences that I have, like musically, from the artists that I listen to, but also the artists that I look at. I take a lot of inspiration from what I see around me in Chicago, and sort of the artists that have based their work in Chicago. So even just exhibitions that we have at the Museum of Contemporary Art, like the Carrie James Marshall exhibit, I think that was really powerful. And Murakami. Oh man, he's so good. He's so good. Definitely up there. Centrock, originally from Arizona but based in Chicago. And Haley Lossoyoung, she's another artist that I look up to. But I think that ultimately what I pull from them is not necessarily their style, but their own creative flair and how they pay homage to who they are as people, and that's what I admire about them, because our styles are very different. And I would say in that sense they influence me, but I'm definitely in my own lane that I follow myself intuitively even when I paint. Like, what I originally came up with is not going to be what it ends up looking like in the end, and I've learned to be okay with that.
Where does the name Pozz come from, and what does it mean to you?
I love that question. This is like one of my favorite origin stories. The name Pozz is the shortened form of the word positive, and I came across it my sophomore year of high school when I was reading about this Anglo-Saxon essayist called Jonathan Swift, and he was writing about how everybody was shortening words. People were saying pants instead of pantaloons and pause instead of positive. And that's when it clicked. I was like, that's my name, Pozz. And then I changed like the spelling, and I made it a whole philosophy of life for myself, because I was in a really dark place. And so I was like, well, if I create this alter ego and I practice focusing on the positive things in life and gratitude, then maybe I can help myself, but also like pause, as in like take a moment to think about what you're gonna do, what you're gonna say, or how you're gonna register some information. So that's what pause means to me. So I want to answer my next question. It's just showing this knife. But enough.
Do you remember your first time performing a piece that you wrote in front of people? Were you nervous?
Yeah. I remember, I think the first time I was really nervous, I was performing at the Metro Chicago. And there was this piece about educational inequities across Chicago and Chicago public schools and selective enrollment process and all that good stuff. And there was just so many people like in front of me, to the side of me, above me, and it was just like, whoa. So I remember just looking directly into the light so it could blind me and I wouldn't see anyone. And that nervousness didn't necessarily go away, but I could feel myself become more and more comfortable in my element.
Have you danced in front of people already before?
Have I danced in front of people? Yeah, so in our Grupo Danza Azteca, Aztec dance, we don't do performances per se, because we're paying homage to our ancestral spiritual practices. So it's not a performance. It's very much a cultural matter that, we pay respect to. And so we do presentations to teach other people about the history of Mexican indigenous culture, and even inform like other academic institutions like the University of Chicago, Rush, that sort of thing. So yeah, my coach just kind of threw me in, and he's like, you'll be fine. It's not about dancing right. It's about what you're dancing for and what it means. So usually those dances can be like for the healing of a family member, or like maybe like a prayer to graduation or something like that.
Where can people find your work?
On Instagram at Pozz Sanchez, so that's Pozz Sanchez.
And do you have any events or shows coming up that you would like to promote as well?
Yes. My friend Vivi put on a show for women. It's called La Poderosa, and I will be showcasing alongside her, which I'm super excited about, and I'm really, really proud of her. So yeah, that'll be this upcoming Saturday and Sunday, the 25th and 26th. 24th, 25th, 26th.
If all of your talent was stripped away today, what would your average day end up looking like?
That's so devastating. Wow. I feel like even if I wasn't talented, I'd still appreciate the talent very much. So I think my day-to-day, I won't lie, it would miss that little spunk. But I think I'd still go to art shows and still listen to cool music and still look at other people dance even if I can't dance, and look at them perform beautiful poetry with slight sadness but also deep appreciation.